Thank you, Minister, and thank you for the kind words about AIIA, but also thank you for the clear vision of where we're heading in terms of the innovative future for Australia. At this point, we're going to conduct a short panel session with some Q&A. The Minister's already taken a seat, which is great. I'm going to invite up some other panellists to join him. Paul Naismith, if you would join. Paul is the CEO of Fred Health, as well as a practicing pharmacist. Fred Health is Australia's largest pharmacy IT solution provider, with over 3,000 pharmacies using their market products. So Paul is obviously here with a health-related agenda, and we thank him and welcome him aboard. Ben Hamilton, if you would join us. Ben is the General Manager of Corporate Information and Technology Strategy for Country Energy. Ben's portfolio encompasses corporate strategic planning and reporting, IT strategy and architecture, IT system design, as well as sustainability and commercial development. And obviously Ben has some interesting insights on the energy sector. And our third and fourth final panellist will be Phillip Cronin. Phillip is the General Manager of Intel Australia New Zealand, and is also the of the AIIA board, and is our national board leader for the Digital Economy Task Force. So, from the precipice, I might ask, the theme of today's session has been about how the NBN will fuel the smart economy in Australia. And I might ask Ben and Paul to talk first. Just ask them to talk for a few minutes about how they see how the NBN will influence the sectors that they work in, and some of the potential that can be achieved within those sectors. So, Ben, if you could go first, yeah.
Thanks, Ian. Country Energy owns and operates an electricity network that covers around 95% of New South Wales, pretty much everywhere outside the Illawarra, the Hunter and the Sydney metropolitan area is Country Energy. We're embarking on a program that we're calling Intelligent Network, read as Smart Grid, which is really about transforming our 20th century electromechanical network into something that's a lot more digital and a lot more responsive. We've got some drivers for that project that have been mentioned today, both by Senator Conroy and by Karen in her overview, and it's really around efficient management of the network. The sheer size of our network means that we need to get smarter in the way that we manage it. We need to make energy efficiency simpler for customers, and the best way to do that is to give customers access to information. Electricity is one of the few commodities that you use and pay for 90 days in arrears. We know through some of the trials that we've done and some of the work that's been done by other parts of the electricity industry that giving customers access to up-to-date information about what they're using, how much it's costing them, and when they're using it can change their behaviour. The third driver is to encourage renewable energy and distributed generation, which is a fundamental shift in the way that we deliver energy and that we use the energy that's flowing around our network. Obviously, a key part of the intelligent network or smart grid journey for us is a robust communications network. Now, given the size of our operation, the reach of our network, and the location of some of our assets, there's not going to be a single one-size-fits-all solution. In all likelihood, it's going to be a mix of our own assets for some of our critical network control, existing carrier networks, but also the NBN will play an important role in allowing us to get some backhaul capability potentially between some of those towns. I think it's important to note at this stage that there is a lot of work to do with the industry, the electricity industry, and with the government on the NBN to work out exactly what the overlap is going to be between smart grids and the NBN. I note the recent announcement of the National Energy Efficiency Initiative, which is the $100 million that was announced in the budget, which we welcome very strongly, to start looking at how smart grids and intelligent networks play out, but also where the overlap is with the NBN. And we look forward to working with government and with industry and with some of you folks here in the room today to better understand that. Thank you.
I also understand that Country Energy has a sort of internationally leading demonstration house in Queanbeyan of some of what can be achieved with smart energy. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. We started to look at intelligent networks and smart grids about 18 months ago. There was some very thick consultants' reports and some very nice PowerPoint slides that were floating around that were suggesting that smart meters and intelligent networks would deliver a whole heap of benefits to a whole heap of different people. we decided that in order to educate our own employees, our stakeholders and policymakers, that it was important to take it off the page and into the real world. So we've developed a Intelligent Network Research and Demonstration Centre down at Queanbeyan, which incorporates elements of network control, the customer experience, because we've got to remember that on the other side of a smart meter is a customer. So we're looking at elements of home area networking. We're looking at integration of different energy sources. So there is an electric vehicle down there. It's taking renewable energy, storing it and returning it to the grid. We're also starting to look at different uses for smart switches, smart devices and sensors on the electricity network. So the centre is available if anyone would like to come and have a look. Here's the gratuitous plug. Please see me afterwards. But look, it's been a really useful centre in being able to demonstrate what it is that intelligent network actually is. We don't claim to have the answers, but what we do want to do is be able to demonstrate what we see the future of the electricity network looking like.
Thanks, Ben. That's great. So, Paul, you might want to talk a little bit about, obviously you're closest to the pharmacy sector, but also you probably have a wider view of the whole sort of health sector. You want to talk a little bit about where you see some of the opportunities?
Sure, thank you, and thanks for the invite. I suppose everybody here is involved in health at some time, and the inefficiencies are quite stunning when you actually get involved. You only have to be sick yourself or look after a loved one, and you work out that we need some reform in this area, and it's well recognised that e-health lowers costs, increased safety. The government's National E-Health Strategy is a great document, and the Ministers of Health have all endorsed that vision. And I suppose the challenge in this room is, whether it be government challenge or industry challenge, is how do you actually act on that? And I see the NBN as a key part of it, but not alone, as others have mentioned. You need to actually have some other policy reform as well. But back on the NBN, well, Karen and the Minister stole a couple of the things I can mention, but that's what happens when you come last. Obviously, the concept of telemedicine or video medicine is out there today. It's in public hospitals, but I see that vision travelling down to the home, and again, consumers won't pay for the high-speed links that we require today, and the NBN has the promise to deliver high speed to the home. We've talked about monitoring from home, and as I suddenly get a little bit older and look at my children and think how they're going to look after me when I'm old, I need to make sure that my health record is in Facebook, because if it's not, they're probably not going to look after me. And I think that generation really expects that the information that's currently in silos all around the health industry will be presented to them, and it's not an easy thing to get everybody together to deliver that vision, but it's what we expect. And without that, as the Minister said, the ageing population costs are going to balloon to the point where our quality of life is certainly going to suffer. So I think the NBN can deliver to the home a value-priced high-speed link, and back to the primary care givers, which I don't think the government spends enough time thinking about. The primary delivers, the GPs, the pharmacists, the people out there in the community who are going to have to take care of those people as they stay at their home. And those people, the people that I look after, the GPs and the pharmacists, are in every little town. So every little town has a doctor, and every little town has a pharmacist. And so the reach of the network is another thing that I'm looking at, and I'm pleased to see that that seems to be covered off. Because if you don't deliver everywhere, well, you spend a lot of time working out the exceptions, and that's not it. So I'm pleased to see that that's covered as well. So, the value proposition is important, especially if you're at primary level. Pharmacists, GPs are businessmen, and they want value, and we have to deliver that. And I think that's important, and the NBN offers a chance of that. And finally, as I say, I think there's some other policy issues that means that this room needs to be attracted to invest in ICT in health, and I don't think the drivers are there for you to do that today. I really feel that the mix is too difficult to sell to health at a high level, and the policy drivers about who should pay for e-health is clearly not defined. The business case is quite poor, And I think that's something that the government and encourage the minister to make sure that there's collaboration between not just his department but people I deal with in health. So
Sure.
that's